Welcome to a new session and a new class. Last session in primary 5, we had a nice time. And now we'll be looking at some of the topics that we had in primary 5. In other words, we'll be revising the topics that we had in primary 5. And so our learning objectives shall be to recall the definition of collage, examples of painting software, definition of robots and robotics, places where robots are used, advantages and disadvantages of robots, definition and applications of virtual reality, input and output devices used in virtual reality. We'll also be looking at definition of database and the terms used in database. We'll also look at the places where database is used. Let's quickly look at graphical modeling. Remember that beautiful topic we had in primary 5. The meaning of collage is the art of making pictures by sticking cloth, pieces of paper, photographs, and other objects onto a surface. Some paint software that we used for collage, we have Microsoft Paint, Tux Paint, My Paint, and some other software. We looked at definition of robots and robotics. Let's quickly have a recap. The term robotics, you will remember, is the study and use of robots. What then is a robot? A robot is a machine that works on its own automatically. However, it needs to be pre-programmed by human in order to perform a task. Let's quickly look at the applications of robots. We can use robots in laboratories, in hospitals, in outer space, in energy plants. We can use it in deep water, and of course, inside volcanoes. What are the advantages and disadvantages of robots? Can you recall? Advantages of robots. You remember we said robots are efficient and effective. They are fun to work with, and they are used for fun and games. They never get bored or tired like humans. They are always efficient and effective. What about the disadvantages? Robots are not all good. Since the introduction of robots, a lot of humans have lost their jobs. And you remember robots cannot do sensitive work. If they malfunction, it may lead to disaster. What about the cost of designing the robots? It's usually very high. The cost of designing and maintaining a robot is usually high. Let's move to another topic, the virtual reality. What does it mean? A virtual reality is an artificial environment created with computer hardware and software. However, when it is presented to the user, it appears and feels like a real environment. What are the areas that virtual reality can be put into use? Recall that we can use it in medicine to train surgeons. It can be used in architecture to design buildings, bridges, and some other things. It can be used in flight simulation to train pilots. It can also be used in entertainment to create fun games. What are the input devices used with virtual reality? You will recall that we mentioned keyboard, data gloves, and the mouse. Quickly, let's look at the output devices that can be used with virtual reality. The head-mounted display can be used. The monitor can be used. And of course, we can also use motion trackers. There are so many other output devices that can be used. I want you to recall some of the other output devices that we talked about last session. Let's move to database. What is database? Database is an organized collection of data or facts relating to a specific topic. It is made up of fields and records. What are some of the terms used in database? Field is a term used in database, and it means an item or a column in a database. What of record? A record is each row in a database. And finally, the places where database is used. There are so many places where database can be used. Let's list a few of them. The airport, supermarkets, hospitals, banks, schools, offices, and many other places. Have you enjoyed yourself today? In this lesson, we have tried to recall the definition of collage, examples of painting software, definition of robots and robotics. We looked at places where robots are used, the advantages and disadvantages of robots, the definition and applications of virtual reality, the input and output devices used in virtual reality. Of course, we also talked about the database, the definitions, and the terms used in database. We looked at the places where database is used. Wonderful. Next lesson, we'll be looking at multimedia. Until then, stay tuned.